Good evening. This is Primetime News live on News First. I'm Sonali Wanigababage.
A very good evening. I'm Shane Silva.
A hot air balloon crash near the ancient Egyptian town of Luxor, resulting in the deaths of 18 Asian and European tourists.
Now, the News First International Desk has been closely monitoring the developments of the story and will bring you a comprehensive report later on in the news bulletin.
That's right, but first we start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says the Samurdhi scheme will not be abolished. 2 suspects killed in a shootout in Manampitia. A student from a school in Aranayaka dies while competing in the 5,000-meter track event. And the Consumer Affairs Authority seizes 25,000 kilograms of basmati rice during a raid in Peta.
In your developing story tonight, Esther Brimmer, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for International Organizations, speaking at the 22nd UN Human Rights Council session in Geneva, said this evening that the Council's work remains unfinished so long as Sri Lanka continues to fall short in implementing the recommendations of its own Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission report or in addressing the underlying sources of its long-standing ethnic conflict. Brimmer added, quote, last year's HRC resolution encouraged brave civil society groups on the ground to continue their efforts, and the United States will introduce another resolution at this session to ensure that the international community continues to monitor progress, unquote. She further said that the United States hopes that this resolution will be a cooperative effort with the Sri Lankan government.
Sri Lanka's permanent mission in Geneva has lodged its formal protest against the screening of the latest Channel 4 documentary film organized by several human rights watchdogs on the 1st of March.
In a letter addressed to the President of the Human Rights Council, Remigesa Achilles Hensel, Sri Lanka's permanent representative to the UN in Geneva, Ravinath Ariyasinghe, said, quote, Sri Lanka views this film as well as the timing of its broadcast as part of a cynical, concerted and orchestrated campaign that is strategically driven and clearly motivated by collateral political considerations, unquote. Ariyasinghe says that the screening of the third part of the film series by Channel 4, which remains discredited, uncorroborated and unsubstantiated, would undermine the status of member states and the work of the Council and would leave it vulnerable to politicization. Meanwhile, Minister Mahinda Samarasinha, who is heading the Sri Lankan delegation at the Human Rights Council session in Geneva, will address the Council tomorrow. Minister Samarasinha left the island at dawn today. Addressing the high-level segment of the 22nd session of the UN Human Rights Council yesterday, the Minister of State for Faith and Communities in the United Kingdom, Baroness Warsi, said that Sri Lanka will continue to attract a huge amount of attention both in the UK and other countries. Baroness Warsi, who is also the Senior Minister of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs, said the discussion at the Human Rights Council will be in the spirit of support towards reconciliation in Sri Lanka, but the task now is to make concrete progress. Baroness Warsi noted that implementing the recommendations of the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission will be a crucial step towards improvement in Sri Lanka's human rights record.
Time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.
On to other local stories now. Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Development Dr. Rajit Senaratne says the foreign donations received is adequate to develop the nation.
The foreign donations that we receive is enough to develop this nation. They do not utilize these donations. I remember Minister Ronnie Dimel saying that during his time per year, only 13% of donations from the World Bank were utilized. During his time, what was the maximum spent out of the donation received? 52%, in which 48% was returned. When I was Minister of Land, I too received donations from the World Bank and I utilized 100% of what was received. If we use the donations received in a proper manner, we can do many things. The opening ceremony of a retail centre for small-scale entrepreneurs in Kosgada, Galle was held today. Financial aid was presented to a group of entrepreneurs at this event.
Two thieves were killed in a shootout with the police this evening in the Dalukana area in Dimulagala. The two thieves were killed after they fled when the police attempted to apprehend them for stealing a vehicle.
The police launched a search operation with the assistance of the army for two suspects connected to the theft of a car from Walachena and were believed to have entered the Dimbulagala Forest Reserve. Emergency road blocks were set up at all surrounding roads with information coming to light that the suspects had attempted to flee. The individual at the driver's seat was arrested this morning at the roadblock set up at the Dimbulagala Batiklo Junction. According to a statement made by the arrested individual, the two carjackers had fled into the Dimbulagala Forest Reserve. Police media spokesperson Superintendent of Police GMHB Sirivardhana said that a search operation was launched in search of the two suspects. At that time, the suspects had opened fire at the police. He added that during the exchange of fire, the two suspects had died. The police suspect that these two individuals were connected to the shooting of a police officer in Valikanda recently. The police media spokesperson said that a T-56 firearm and 3 hand grenades were also discovered. He further added that during the search, the individual in the vehicle had managed to flee and operations are underway to locate him.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that he will not abolish the Samurdhi scheme. The president made this comment while addressing the 15th National Convention of Samurdhi and Agriculture Research Officers held at Temple Trees this morning.
Around 5,000 Samurdhi and Agriculture Research Officers attended the convention. Commemorative mementos were presented by the President to those who showed exceptional skill in various aspects and to the children of Samurdhi officers who passed the scholarship examination.
අද අපි රටත් සංවර්ධනය කරගෙන යනවා වරාය ගුවන් තොටුපළ අධිවේගී මාර්ගවල විප්ලවයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා රටේ විශාල දියුණුවක් ඇති වෙලා.
We are developing the country. There is a revolution in ports, airports, expressways and roads. Massive development has taken place. You can see it for yourself. You will see this when you go about the country. We have implemented development from the north to the south equally. We have not limited it to a single village or area or province. We have been able to bring about change in all these spheres. Graduates in the villages have been given appointments. There were graduates in almost every home. 54,000 have now been given appointments. No matter what people say, the Samurdhi scheme will not be abolished.
54,000කට අද පත්වීම් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. කවුරු මොනවා කිව්වත් සමෘද්ධි ව්‍යාපාරය අවශ්‍ය කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක දැන් ඒ තත්ත්වේ අපි කියන්න ඕන.
Ayurvedic doctors and staff in several areas took part in demonstrations today condemning the acid attack on the Commissioner of Ayurveda for the North Central Province, Dr. Kumara Alves.
Doctors at the Anuradhapura Ayurvedic Hospital took part in a token strike today, demanding that the perpetrators be arrested immediately. Our correspondent said that although operations at the OPD were halted as a result of the demonstration, in-house patients were treated. Meanwhile, the staff at the Ayurvedic department of the Central Province engaged in a demonstration opposite the George E. De Silva Gardens in Kandy today. The demonstrators demanded that the persons responsible for the acid attack on the North Central Province Commissioner of Ayurveda, Dr. Kumara Alves, be apprehended and that a suitable environment be created to maintain a proper public service. Another demonstration took place opposite the DB Valagedra Ayurvedic General Hospital in Kurunagala. Ayurvedic doctors and administrative officers from the Northwestern Province took part in the protest. Officials and the staff from the Southern Province Ayurvedic Department also organized the demonstration today. Meanwhile, the Government Ayurvedic Medical Officers Association convened a media briefing today and commented on the acid attack on Dr. Kumara Alves, the Commissioner of Ayurveda for the North Central Province.
ලංකාව පුරාම මේ වෙනකොට ආයුර්වේද සම්භාවනා ආයතන කියලා විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් එනවා. මේවයි ප්‍රමිතියක් මේවයි ගුණාත්මක භාවයක් හෝ මේවයි මොනවද කරන්න කියලා රටේ ජනතාව දන්නේ නැහැ.
There are a large number of Ayurvedic spas in operation across the country. The people have no idea regarding the standards and quality of these spas and what they do there. Dr. Kumar Alvis had made recommendations on the request of the police to investigate 13 institutions operating under special permissions granted by the technical unit of the Department of Ayurveda without inspecting standards. Once those recommendations were submitted, it was uncovered that not a single well-known doctor had worked at those places. Speaking to us, he said that acupuncture centers or spas are not what they claim to be, but are brothels which harm our culture. This turned many people against him. Several legitimate administrative decisions that he took also caused various groups to turn against him. Commissioner of Ayurveda of the North Central Province falls victim to an acid attack at his official residence in Anuradhapura. The attack was carried out by two men impersonating patients. Statements were recorded from several persons regarding the incident. Government Ayurvedic Officers Association stages a token strike demanding that the suspects be arrested. Who carried out the acid attack on the Commissioner of Ayurveda of the North Central Province? Why are the culprits still at large?